From JTSHD Studios. Once upon a time, in a summer camp in the 80s after a prank gone wrong, a psychotic burn victim took his revenge by killing many of the young campers, even the sweet girl with the dick, and then vanished without a trace. Soon after, the surviving children flee the camp with their two counselors, Marky Payne and Zoe, the new girl who just started that summer. They happen upon a small corn farming town that they hoped could be a new start for them all. As these new kids on the block try to acclimate to their new lives as farmers and form bonds with the townsfolk, the counselors slowly realize this is not just your typical corn. Plot twist number 1. This corn is pure evil and has a killing spree to complete before harvest season arrives. As the evil corn stalks start killing off the townsfolk left and right, Marky and Zoe face the grim reality that they need all the help they can get. With no options nor time left to waste, they reluctantly call up the psychotic burn victim who murdered some of their camp children and to try to destroy the evil magic corn stalks before they take over the quite small insignificant farming community in The Happening 2, The Burning of the Corn. With his plot convenient garden shears in hand, the retired murderer aims to destroy the farm's corn supply before the entire world is wiped out. Starring Mark Wahlberg in the role of a lifetime as Marky Payne, Cropsy the Killer, finally in a second film he deserved back in the 80s, Sarah Connor, because why the hell not, right? And our frequent collaborator, Sir Nigel Pennywinkle, effortlessly doing the body double work for every child you see in the film, all at the same time, with some very special guest appearances by Marky's childhood mischievous teddy bear, which was clearly the one who turned Marky Mark into a hate crime specialist, Stephen King, reprising his role of Jordy Verrill from Creepshow. He's got plant experience. The infamous live-action version of Mario's brother, Luigi Mario, and M. Night Shyamalan, with a record-breaking 7 cameos in this film of such high quality, he wished he directed it himself. Featuring musical performances by Dion and the Belmonts, who follow around each character in the film while singing their doo-wop like it's a Jodorowsky film. The evil children's choir from every horror film you've ever seen. Natalie Imbruglia, who initially was torn on providing her music for the film due to her being all out of faith, and Herman's Hermits. However, they stated in their contract they won't have a Willie or a Sam, and fortunately they don't grow weed on this farm. Don't cornhole your neighbor just yet, there's more. Each showing of the film features a very special personalized theater experience. Before each of the 17 plot twists in this film, you get the privilege of letting the future ghost of Oprah Winfrey gladly punch you in the face as she screams out, "You get a twist, and you get a twist," and The Happening 2, The Burning of the Corn. The National Enquirer described the film as an intense spiritual experience, causing some to actually see dead people who didn't survive the screening. Jim's dad from American Pie said he was just happy to see his favorite band featured in the film. M. Night praised the film, but admitted his favorite 7 characters were the ones he played himself. The entire roster on Epstein's private island list were asked their opinions on the film, but the younger cast was just too distracting to get their full attention. If you somehow adored The Happening, then get ready for the summer blockbuster sequel, which strangely has less happening than the original, despite all the aforementioned special appearances. Get ready to be bored to tears so badly, you'd willingly send your kids back in time to Netherland Wrench to play with Michael. Get ready for The Happening 2, The Burning of the Corn. Coming to theaters near you 2027. Plot twist 2028. Rated PG for pretentious garbage. From JTSHD Studios, inspired by a pitch by Subjective Perspective Collective, Savage Zombie Reviews, and Jamie Hart, without them even knowing they were pitching something. A long time ago, on a lovely summer's night, in a cabin deep in the remote woods, a group of friends led by Big Williams found the Book of the Dead. After idiotically letting a just as spooky tape recording play out an entire incantation, they summoned forth demons from hell. Far away in the big city, Carrie was not your typical woman. After killing her entire school on prom night and undergoing facial reconstructive surgery to look more like that of a moose, she starts to give into her wild side, becoming a full-on stereotypical whore. When the Deadites decide they need to get a little action of their own, they leave their former cabin prison and head for the city to fuck as many city folk as possible. But now, it's up to Big Williams to swoop in for the big rescue and stop Carrie's wild slut of fame streak before she contracts Deadite AIDS in the non-awaited legacy sequel of a lifetime. And just like that, evil Deadite sex in the city. Starring Sissy Spacek as prom night killer turned moose woman Carrie Bradcliffe, Bruce Campbell is Big Ass-Kicking Williams, the love child of Ben Stiller and Sir Nigel Pennywinkle named Pablo. You think it doesn't make sense, but trust us, it does. The last dying wishes of future Vince McMahon of the WWF. And a special immersive theater experience where you put on a Deadite condom and have simulated sex with the demon spawn of your choice. Or are they having sex with you? With special guest appearances by the former Heaven's Gate cult leader Marshall Applewhite, foot massage expert Vincent Vega, a 90s boombox that has no grasp of its own power, and the ghost of Pee Wee Herman, recreating his own true life story of whipping out his cock in a crowd, based on the legacy sequel hit show that made us aware of the fact, yeah, these slutty women aren't worth following any longer. Get ready for the film that will get you 100% aroused in the worst, most shameful, disgusting ways possible. Get ready to tell your grandchildren the story of the time you saw evil Deadites fucking everything in sight on the big screen. Get ready for. And just like that, evil Deadite sex in the city, featuring the music of the part of Limp Bizkit comprised of bad musicians, and a half-hour special sequence of Carrie running around with her little friend in an animated world. Prolific legendary serial killer Michael Myers had to say. A parallel reality version of Anderson Cooper where things are mostly the same, but there are small changes. Instead of being on television, he's an 80s homosexual nightclub owner. Had to say, the thrills and shrills of the sound of demonic lovemaking was like music to this hip young gentleman's ears. John Travolta had to say, I loved the movie. What a blast. I mean, oh my god. Then again, I am a Scientologist, so get ready to live out your wildest, smuttiest, bareback demon fantasies with, and just like that, evil Deadite sex in the city. Coming to theaters 2029. Unrated for obvious reasons, including many scenes depicting hideous human beings and non-human beings engaged in loving intercourse. Welcome to the quaint little town of Morningside, a place where everyone knows everybody, ranging from Mark Loftmore, a successful bank teller, to the infamous Mrs. Dougal, an absolute dog-hating Harold and his group of friends are drug addicts working the street grind day to day in Coney Island. But when Harold comes across a mystical Chinese man, he ends up getting a group of small creatures from another planet, being told the 3 simple rules, including the most important: never feed them after midnight or they'll be on the toilet all night. But now, after Harold accidentally ends up giving them heroin and crystal meth, the creatures wreak a havoc on the town of Morningside that no one ever saw coming. Tiny terrors, critters from a ghoulish world. When hundreds of creatures start attacking the townsfolk, it is up to Mark to try and save the town he holds dear to his heart. Starring Zach Galligan as Mark Loftmore, Jared Leto as Harold, Sir Nigel Pennywinkle, a gremlin in need of a shoulder to cry on. The entire production of Sir Pennywinkle and this midget butler duking it out mud wrestling style, where the loser has the cast from 1932's Freaks run a train on them, and a special 5-minute scene of Mrs. Dougal smoking the meth that got the Tiny Terrors retarded and chucking herself out a window, with special guest appearances by Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad, Phoebe Cates, looking a little old there, the reincarnated soul of legendary rapper Vanilla Ice, rapey lady the JJ Gremlins, and coast-to-coast conspiracy talk show host Art Bell. Based on the original film, based on the novel, based on the time Mel Brooks had a thought that couldn't sink a production. Get ready for the critter feature of the millennium. Get ready to have your eyeballs willingly gouged out and then beaten in the moonlight. Get ready for Tiny Terrors, Critters from a Ghoulish World, featuring the music of Slim Whitman, Hollywood sure loves him, Bing Crosby, Cannibal Corpse, and a special 80-minute performance of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck doing an a cappella version of Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force, while offset during the filming of Space Jam 2. The Academy says, whoever thought a family film about drugs and killer mini monsters could be pulled off so well? Joe Dante had to say he's pissed, but declined to appear to make the comment. The beautiful Madonna I Remember says, I feel like a message might have been trying to find its way to the audience while watching the film, but with all this shit on my face, I really can't remember. Get ready to have a ton of terrible fun with Tiny Terrors, Critters from a Ghoulish World. Coming 2085, the year the Tiny Terrors are from the space-time continuum. Rated G for family friendly, but if you listened, you'd fucking know that already. From JTSHD Studios. On a dark, moonlit night, much like tonight, one crew of professionals got together outside of a world-renowned dance studio in Germany. They had one simple task: kidnap and babysit the talented young ballerina for 24 hours. What they didn't know is this young lady's a witch belonging to a centuries-old coven. Upon entering the dance academy to commit their grand plan, they soon discover the dark and witchy woman secrets going on behind the academy walls. Now trapped inside, they come to the shocking realization of just who the leaders of this coven are. The Sanderson sisters? In Abigail 2, Hocus Pocus Suspiriorum, as the crew is brutally murdered one by one, Abigail proves to be one tough mother. Starring Alicia Weir as Abigail the Witch, which she does great at looking like a different girl in every shot of this film. Someone who the writers really wish was killed by Ghostface, yet she also is excellent at looking different throughout this whole movie. Bette Midler reprising her role yet again as Winifred Sanderson. Moose Woman from And Just Like That. Evil Deadite Sex in the City as Sarah Sanderson. And that other one no one really cares about. With special guest appearances by Zachary Binks, man turned cat turned dog, who viciously rips this blind guy's throat out. Gamma from The Walking Dead. The ghost of Ethel Merman, who for some reason people seem to confuse with Bette Midler. The cousin of the casting director for the 2003 masterpiece, The Room. And the ghost of Charlie Manson, before all the murder cult stuff. Featuring these musical acts. Do I really have to say his name? Classical music legend, Tukurska, I don't know how to pronounce it. A very special 3.5-hour loop of the theme to the Flintstones, played by a child orchestra on strictly trash cans, wind chimes, and clay drums. And the film features the Suspiria theme throughout 90% of the movie, although every instrument and sound has been taken out except for the witch chants. A paranormal research group near you had to say, for a film starring a moose, a cat, a dog, and a bunch of witches, I gotta admit, it was pretty terrible. They should have done a vampire flick. Tommy Wiseau had many things to say about the film, but unable to get his thoughts out coherently, he just kept screaming, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa!" The guilty as shit people behind the Nickelodeon controversy had to say.
Come, little children, I'll
Us as the filmmakers decline to make any comment on their comment. Are you ready for enough excitement to turn a girl from a vampire into a witch, a moose into a woman, and a box office smash into the sequel it deserves? Well, then get ready for Abigail 2, Hocus Pocus Suspiriorum, coming to theaters near you 2028, or to streaming services, whatever. From JTSHD Studios, if you had the chance to wish away the wrongdoings of your past at the expense of the entire world, would you take it? Andrea was just your typical seriously fucked up young adult at your typical fishing hamlet high school one summer night. After going out with her friends for a night full of debauchery and responsible drinking and driving, they accidentally mowed down a man in cold blood. After dumping the body in the ocean and swearing to secrecy, they thought their slight problems were solved. 1 year later, on the anniversary of that fateful night, Andrea and her friends, after all having gone massive facial reconstructive surgery and renting a rural cabin to shoot porn in from a nice old couple, they soon realized that nice old couple are in fact psychopathic murderers who start to whack off Andrea's friends one by one. While hiding for her life, Andrea discovers an ancient gemstone that releases an evil genie. In Wishmaster X, The Last Summer, grateful for being released from his priceless prison, the genie grants Andrea 3 wishes, with the small fine print that he will reign over Earth in an eternity of darkness when the 3rd wish is granted. After wishing away the events of last summer and death upon the horny old couple, Andrea must now race against time and find a way to return the ancient genie to his stone home before her 3rd wish is due and the entire world is fucked. Starring Jennifer Love Hewitt and Mia Goth as the always miserable looking Andrea Kurtz, Andrew Divoff as the evil genie, Nathan for short, the chick from those shitty sequels in that terrible series started by Kevin Williamson, the return of Sir Nigel Pennywinkle, fresh off his defeat of Eric Cartman and taking on the role of whatever the hell this is, and Iron Mike Tyson, fresh off his defeat to someone that is also 30 plus years his junior, with some very special guest appearances by the weird magical creature from Andrea's childhood, Munchie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whose skills unfortunately don't translate well to dealing with regular old human beings, Buck Flower, in a bold, powerful, and out-of-character portrayal of the Bum, and the alternate universe version of Tom Cruise, from where he never fell for an obvious scam, featuring musical performances by Mungo Jerry, the ghost of Whitney Houston, who is granted 1 wish from the evil genie just before her performance, but instead of wishing she never died, she wished for some good ghost cocaine, Blues Traveler, and a 4-hour a cappella concert by the entire cast of the TV series I Know What You Did Last Summer, which if you recall was absolutely dreadful. Don't make your wishes just yet, check this shit out. With every ticket purchased, you get the opportunity to sit across from Jennifer Love Hewitt for a depression off, where you stare intensely into each other's eyes while looking like your grandmother was just shot and see who can last the longest. No one has ever beaten Jennifer to this day. The 4chan movie review board had to say, finally, a movie that gives us everything we've always wanted in entertainment. Summertime, porn, and the end of humanity. Jennifer Love Hewitt herself had to say. The spirit of Leonardo da Vinci had this to say. I was so moved by the film that I had to make alterations to my past work, retitled The Last Summer. O.J. Simpson left a brief written review of the screener before he passed. Short, sweet, and poetic. I murdered that bitch and her lover for sure. Wait, what was that supposed to be right? Get ready to be given the chance to
make your wishes.
Get ready for a film so bad it will cause you to have a full-on mental break and make it the struggle of your lifetime to not choke the person sitting next to you and send them to an early grave. Get ready for Wishmaster X, The Last Summer. Coming summer 2032 to an Ahoda Mazda statue near you. Rated NC-37, with or without an accompanying guardian. From JTSHD Studios, 1 year ago, you were introduced to the world of Skinny Marink through its excellent score, complex yet engaging plot, delightfully written characters, and pure feelings of dread. One or two viewers even stated, the film literally almost killed me of boredom. Now, those two kids, or what seems to have been kids as I didn't see shit, are all grown up and must return to their childhood home to kill the evil mirror that haunted them as children and ate their goddamn dog. Mrs. Dougal from Tiny Terrors, Critters from a Ghoulish World would be very pleased. But that doesn't release for another 61 years. After the mirror starts warping the two nameless children's realities, it is up to them to do absolutely nothing, including not being seen on camera, to bring you the thrilling sequel, Skinny Marink Adu, Electric Boogaloo. Just when you thought horror filmmaking couldn't get more intense, we have a sequel for you that'll up the ante quite a bit. Starring Karen Gillan as Kaylee. Not the same spelling, but phew, that was damn lucky, huh? Brenton Thwaites as Tim, the artist formerly known as Kevin. Sir Nigel Pennywinkle again. The false promise of the appearance of ghoulies, as we briefly see a toilet for them to appear from, but it disappears just a few seconds later. And a special 30-minute immersive experience where you're forcibly held down in the theater and heavily drugged against your will, just so you can somewhat enjoy the film, with special guest appearances by Patrick Wilson. If you don't get the reference, then I'm not explaining it. A wall or two. Shots that should have people or items in them, but do not, because the movie says fuck you. The infamous chair from the first film. And news anchor dubbed voice of Hispanic America, Maria Elena Salinas, playing a role similar to Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist, although the plots have nothing to do with each other at all, based on the fantasy had by a man who dreamt he could make a shit ton of money making a horror film by filming objects for minutes ad nauseum after having a flashback to a dream from his childhood. Get ready for the sequel you can't help falling in love with. Get ready to be 100% delighted to give up your firstborn child and beaten repeatedly just to make the suffering end. Get ready for Skitty Marink Adu, Electric Boogaloo, featuring the music of the ghost, or is it the ghost, of Elvis Presley. Tangerine Dream, a full album written by Elton John but without Bernie Taupin, and a special 20-minute interview with director Mike Flanagan, who says, although approached to direct the sequel, I considered it, but after the severe hangover wore off, I came to my senses. The Academy says, it's great. A paramedic at the scene of a screening had to say, I have never seen so many people of all kinds of races, ethnicities, creeds, and religions band together to rush an ambulance just for the drugs to knock themselves out to end the pain. The late pre-plastic surgery singer of 80s pop band Dead or Alive had to say, at first I was quite struck by the beauty of the film, but as time went on it all just crumbled away to nothingness, leaving behind an image I just can't believe is real. Karen Gillan herself said, if I had the choice between eating an apple or a light bulb, I'd choose the light bulb just for my involvement. Get ready to be fundamentally pissed on a primal level with Skitty Marink Adu, Electric Boogaloo, coming 2025, unrated.
'Cause 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 'cause
What would you do if everything you have worked hard for to build as your life's legacy was threatened by something you nor anyone could ever anticipate? Two brothers changed forever by a moment in each of their pasts which led them to their true life's calling. Jim Torrance, years after having a brief encounter with a pleasant customer at his gas station that ended in a lucky coin toss win, he became a man of God on a mission to start a peaceful remote community where he could help others live a better life. Nicky Torrance, after surviving a slightly traumatic domestic dispute in his past, puts his strong will to survive and thrive into overdrive. Now, he owns half of Las Vegas. But now, their hard work and sacrifices for the greater good may be over. Aliens attack. Initially very excited by a sudden visit from extraterrestrial life, the brothers quickly realize these beings don't have the same desires for peace and harmony.
They came in peace.
After mass devastation occurs to their communities and loved ones, Jim and Nicky must work together with their elderly dying mother to protect their life legacies and perhaps the whole world. Starring Jack Nicholson as Nicky Torrance, Gene Jones as Father Jim Torrance, discount old version of Rose from Titanic as Mrs. Torrance, Otis Driftwood as moonshiner Bill Just Chop a Little Off the Top Knox, with special guest appearances by the dickhead sons from Your Next, Sinbad, that terrible father from Matilda, and a multi-award nominated 20-minute sequence containing the brilliant stand-up comedy stylings of Carrot Top, featuring coverage of the performance from who else? Geraldo Rivera. JTSHD Studios brings to you a chilling, deeply moving story of one family
They blew up Congress.
bound together by love, faith, and past spiritual awakenings who will stop at nothing to save their families, their loved ones, and their 100% voluntary followers from being destroyed. Featuring the music of Slim Whitman, the Everly Brothers, the Eden's Gate Scientology Church Choir, and Marcy's Playground, based on the true future urban legend. Get ready for the family film of the year. Get ready for what could very possibly be the end of all times. Get ready for Aliens Attack, the last sacrament for old men. The NYW Times says, a story that will make you reflect on how precious life is while relaxing on a nice summer's day, drinking cold, refreshing Kool-Aid. The Los Angeles Wellness Organization for Knowledgeable Elites calls it a riveting alien invasion tale with a ton of heart, all while making not a goddamn lick of sense. Rapper Kanye West exclaimed, I could definitely make a much superior film, being an absolute genius of a generation. The film even left the ghost of Roger Ebert so moved he praised the film. Charlie Sheen presents Aliens Attack, the last sacrament for old men. Coming summer of 2029 to a theater likely nowhere near you. Rated extra excellent. From JTSHD Studios, chaos theorist and brilliant inventor Ian Brundle has uncovered the secret behind teleportation. He successfully made a baboon travel from one of his teleporters to another, coming out absolutely beyond dead. A Nobel Prize or two was definitely in Ian's future. Damien Trent was a successful insurance claims investigator, on the brink of breaking open a nationwide fraud case. After a night of drinking and some light crystal meth usage, Brundle and Trent stumble into the teleporter just for a goof when a housefly randomly joins them. With the threesome underway, Ian and Damien exit the pod to find themselves in a lost world, in the mouth of the Lord of the Flies. The pair are blown away by the realization they have traveled back in time to the age of the dinosaurs. But now, it is up to Ian and Sam to race against time and survive this lost world of danger before their bodies become infused with that of a fly. Starring, nope, cut. You Want to Get Sued? Starring Jeff Goldblum in his Academy Award daydream role as Ian Brundle, Sam Neill as Damian Trent, a creepy bike riding boy who discovered the opposite of the Fountain of Youth, and a special 10-minute deleted scene of Brundlefly taping a Superfly human 80s aerobics video from the film The Fly, with special guest appearances by Norman Bates from the horror classic Psycho, Julianne Moore, an axe-wielding maniac, John Carpenter on his 187th cigarette break while watching the film, Lynn Shay, no joke, she's a national treasure, and the ghost of Joan Rivers before all the catfish plastic surgery, based on the true made-up lie by John Hammond used to hook Jeff Goldblum into doing Lost World Jurassic Park. Get ready for the horror adventure film of the century. Get ready to be utterly and masochistically insulted by scenes of pure stupidity. Get ready for Lost World in the Mouth of the Lord of the Flies, featuring the music of Tiny Tim, Trevor Rabin, Static X, and a special performance by Nina, performing a Guitar Hero rendition of her smash hit 99 Red Balloons, using strictly the Donkey Kong Congas controller. The HGSF Times says, I highly recommend it, despite possibly being the worst film ever made. Jeff Goldblum himself had to say, the ghost of pre-guilty verdict Jeffrey Epstein had to say, an absolute crime. I feel like ideas, thoughts, and actions were being forcibly exerted upon and inserted into my brain and body, not at all to my consent. Get ready to experience masterful, state-of-the-art awful filmmaking in Lost World, in the Mouth of the Lord of the Flies, coming 2025 to the multiplex located inside the Jurassic World theme park after the dinosaurs have left their paddocks. Rated R for ridiculously stupid. From JTSHD Studios, An Old Man of the Sea, A Woman of the Stars, and a house full of mostly hot sorority babes. Howie is a lifelong sadistic deceiver. He won't even let his friend Django unchained from dusk till dawn. Jean Robertson is a lifelong celebrity, with her career blowing up after the spirit of her murdered lover, as well as Whoopi Goldberg, helped save her life. Meanwhile, at Jean's old sorority house, the current generation of Delta Alpha Kappa is getting into the holiday spirit, decking their halls for St. Nicholas to bring them their annually awaited gifts and dreams. When Jean has the revelation that she has long left her youthful days of partying it up with her sorority sisters behind, and with Christmas just around the corner, she decides to quit her acting career to follow her true dream that's been hidden deep down inside of her entire life. As Jean seeks out Howie for his unpatented new drug that will grant her her perfect version of herself, we soon discover that Jean's warped dream has always been to be a walrus, living free in the cool waters of the very same sea Howie admires so much. In The Christmas Substance, I Am the Walrus. After the magical potion starts coursing throughout her veins and turns Jean into a perfect walrus woman, Jean starts to remember the age-old saying, be careful what you wish for. As Howie starts to grow weirdly attracted to the walrus Jean, she has until Christmas morning to make it back to her old sorority house to ask Santa for a walrus wish pardon before it's too late. Starring Demi Moore in the once-in-a-walrus lifetime role where she doesn't help crash the stock market as Jean Robertson. Michael Parks as the way-too-walrus-loving man of the sea, Howie Renault, the still-living and not-as-talented Quaid brother. Our frequent collaborator Sir Nigel Pennywinkle unfortunately was not able to make it for this one, as he was too busy mud wrestling with Eric Cartman. And Jack Black, with some very special guest appearances by the haunted swimming pool where Jean lives out the rest of her days from the Blumhouse horror masterpiece, Night Swim. Justin Long from Christine 2, Drag Race Me to Hell. Silent Bob, giving a record 2-hour video interview, though the compelling audio has not been included at all. And Oda Mae Brown, famous for not being able to part with $4 million, nor being able to discern a real doctor from a fake one, featuring musical performances by Buddy Holly. Slipknot, without their cool masks. The Carolers from Black Christmas, semi-responsible for Barb's death. And the ghost of John Lennon. He won't be performing any music, though he will be in his prime and boxing with Gene for the title of the actual walrus. Don't get your tusks all up in a twist. There's more. Each showing of the film features a very personal and intimate experience for everyone, where you're handed a huge syringe of reanimator liquid to inject yourself with, to bring you back to life in case you decide to end it all during the screening. Followed by a live Q&A by Vincent Schiavelli. The Christmas substance. I am the walrus. The Onion had to say, the film conveys the same emotions you would experience if handed a copy of Black Christmas 2019 and a ball-peen hammer, and then forced at gunpoint to make the correct decision. The ghost of Patrick Swayze was going to exclaim how distraught he was to not be included, but upon learning the context of the story, realized he wouldn't be much of a special guest. The New York Times says, the film of the year that will resonate with every single viewer who has ever dreamt big and dreamt extremely dangerously. P. Diddy had a ton of things to say, although none of it had to do with the film, and was more along the lines of, "Help! They're coming to kill me, motherfucker!" Get ready for the film that will cause your brain cells to instantly start a civil war with the rest of your body, leading to extreme death. Get ready for your eyes to split in two while you're reminded of classic Tool albums of yore. Get ready for the Christmas substance. I am the walrus. Coming December 2026 to a needle near you. Rated W for walrus. Christine Ramey was an above-average woman. She was heading for a huge promotion at her job at the bank, dating actor Justin Long. Everything in Christine's life seemed to be going her way for a change. Richard Head has been racing his entire life. From tricycles to sports cars, you name it, he's tamed it and made it his bitch. But now, after a slight dispute with a less than attractive gypsy, Christine's perfect life has begun to spiral into hell, as she is cursed to live as a killer 1958 Plymouth Fury in the long-awaited sequel, Christine 2, Drag Race Me to Hell. As Christine starts to kill off everyone in her path, it is up to Dick to try to bring an end to her reign of terror. Starring the actress you swear you've seen many times before but yet can't place her as Christine. Vin Diesel as Richard Dick Head, my grandmother. And a special 9-minute immersive sequence where we view footage of the original Christine from the car's point of view while hearing Christine's thoughts herself, with special guest appearances by Tim Curry, the professional wrestler and only professional wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Pennywise the Clown, played by Tim Curry, the sacrificial goat from every horror film you've ever seen, the greedy bastard from that film Congo, portrayed by Tim Curry, and Montel Williams, based on a brief thought during John Carpenter's 153rd cigarette break while shooting Christine. Get ready for the action film of 2026. Get ready for the sequel you never wanted, never wished for, and will never enjoy. Get ready for Christine 2, Drag Race Me to Hell, featuring the music of The Crew Cuts, Mudvayne, The Proclaimers, and a 30-minute a cappella version of Cinnamon by Nina Simone. Yeah, without the great piano parts. The Jewish Times says, we certify Christine 2 as 5-star kosher entertainment. A random goat we spoke to said, I enjoyed the film very much, but I'm still saddened to see our kind stereotyped in horror films by always being used in satanic rituals. An intelligent reviewer stated, I don't understand why the car keeps changing years, makes, and models in every shot, but I'll chop that up to the budget they were working with. Get ready to experience slight fear again in Christine 2, Drag Race Me to Hell. Coming Festivus season of 2026. Rated PG for pretty good. This September, get ready for the event to end all events that otherwise would end all other events. Slasher September 3. If you love slasher films, great kills, practical effects, and a shitload of stupidity, you found the right trailer. Get ready to talk modern slashers, classic slashers, forgotten slashers, plus some other movies that have nothing to do with slashers. Starring JT from JT's Horror Discussions, with some very special guest appearances by the spiritual presence of special effects guru Tom Savini. Unfortunately, his body was not able to make it. A bunch of stupid yet hot naked chicks. Twists that will leave your mind blown away, and twists that will make you shoot your neighbor out of rage. And of course, Sir Nigel Pennywinkle, with musical acts including but not limited to the Everly Brothers, Mushroomhead, the band from the infamous and generic Bandcamp from American Pie, and a once-in-a-lifetime special feature where you can use artificial intelligence to change my voice in each review to that of Bob from House by the Cemetery. Get ready for a decent time, I guess, with Slasher September 3. Coming to you in September, the 9th month of the year. Rated R.